Hello, I'm Chris Parkin and this is the latest Bergara Crest Carbon in 223. Welcome to Gunmark TV. Recommended retail price on the Bergara Crest Carbon is £1,875. If you want to go for the steel barrel option, it's £1,625. The rifle is available in 223, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 270, 7mm PRC, 7mm Rem mag, 3006, 308 and 300 Win mag. Overall length is 1050mm or 41 1/4 inches. Length of pull is 348mm or 13.625 inches. The Cure carbon barrel is 510mm long or 20 inches and it has a 1 in 9 inch twist rate. So you've seen the rifle in use. Bit of a mixture of things going on with it, to be honest. Let's start with the good stuff first. I absolutely loved shooting it. Bergara did with the B14 action what Remington should have done with the 700 action and just sort of sat on the laurels for 50 odd years. Bergara made a few updates, a few compromises, a few changes. They pinned the recoil lug in the front where it fits into the action. They've used the left side bolt release catch. They've used a bolt with a sort of M16 style extractor rather than the circlip extractor, and it just works smoothly and really well. But looking at some of the details Bergara put on this rifle, the Cure carbon barrel is 20 inches long, 510mm. It's about 21mm diameter near the muzzle and it's threaded 5/8 by 24. It comes with the pepper pot brake on it, but you can obviously remove that, and as you saw I did, I put a sound moderator on. Feed and function is very smooth, and just a note, if you drop around in the ejection port, it will load direct to the chamber. If I take that out now, have a little look at that. There's no marks, no scratches, no dents, no feeding issues going on there. I'll just do one from the magazine as well, see how it feeds from the magazine. Yep, I can't see any particular marks or blemishes caused by transfer from the magazine into the chamber. The barrel fully free floats in the stock, and this carbon stock, which is entire carbon stock, it's very stiff, so you've got no problems with intermittent contact at all. It's got twin studs at the front for bipod or sling mounting. You've also got QD anchor points on either side of the rifle as well, at the front and also at the back, and there's a stud at the back too on the bottom of the bag rider, so carriage is no problem. Overall, the rifle weighs just 2.9 kilograms, so it is an absolute joy to carry, and I really did like that element of it. So scope mounting is facilitated by this Picatinny rail. Now this was set up and supplied to me with a different scope. I've put another scope on it for my use. The Picatinny rail, like any Remington 700, bolts on in 4 places, and you can easily get Picatinny rails with 0, 10 or 20 or even more elements of inclination on them if you want to be pushing things to longer range. As I said, the bolt release catch is on the left here, and you've got a push feed bolt with 2 lugs for a 90-degree lift, and it's got a sprung ejector. As you can see in the video, I had no problem operating the rifle. The bolt, which is fluted, is incredibly slick in use, and I was literally just picking it up with my fingertips, pushing it home and closing it that easily. Some people will use it with the bolt handle, but most importantly, it's actually very hard to even deliberately jam the bolt unless you're absolutely trying to do that. With the bolt closed, safety catch is on the right here, forward for fire, rear for safe. It doesn't lock the bolt shaft. On the back here you can see there's quite a large and obvious cocked action indicator, which is tactile as well as visible. The bolt handle, it's about 65mm long, and there's a 22mm diameter teardrop on the end. It's really nice to get hold of, very nice to use. In terms of the magazine system, it uses AICS magazines and there's a 5-rounder supplied with it. This also worked very smoothly, no problems at all with staggering or stuttering. And the most important thing is if you drop a single round in there, the bolt will close smoothly and chamber that round. And that's not always the case with 223s. You know, the larger cartridges more so, but not so much 223. So I was very pleased with that. The trigger is adjustable and it broke at 780 grams, which is 28 ounces. Crisp, predictable, I was very happy using it, no problems there at all. Paying attention to the stock now, I was very happy with this. It's carbon throughout and it's got a slightly matte finish to it. There's no additional checkering or anything on it, and you get a few flecks of a sort of a grey-blue paint just to break up the pattern a little bit, but you do get the feel of that lovely warp and weft of the carbon fibre, and I think it looks superb. Length of pull is 348mm, which is 13.625 inches, so it's comfortable in use, and if you wanted to you could probably also add spacers, although nothing's supplied, but the recoil pad's screwed on in 2 places, so adding spacers shouldn't be too much of an issue. The recoil pad itself is 1 inch thick, it's pretty firm in texture, but it does grip really well into your shoulder, and I have to say, this rifle in terms of its stability when aiming either prone or from a bench or from a tripod sticks where it's clamped in here, and you know there's no point of impact shift because you're clamping it on the rifle, anything like that. It is totally stable and secure, and you can load that bipod as much as you like, you know, without any bend, any flex in the stock. There's no chance of the barrel giving any contact. You can shoot with your thumb up, you can shoot with your thumb wrapped around the side of the stock and reach the trigger at 85mm from the throat. Is perfect for getting really good smooth trigger pull and operation, and I enjoyed shooting the rifle more than many. The 90-degree lift, some people say, oh, they like 60-degree lift. There are ups and downs to that. You do kind of have to lift your head up a little bit with a 90-degree lift because your hand and your fingertips can sometimes just knock you if you're wearing a baseball cap or something like that. If you're not wearing a hat, it's not a problem at all. The advantage to a 90-degree lift is you've got less physical effort required to lift that bolt, cock the action and then draw it back, and as you saw, ejection was positive, no problems at all with that. I noted there was no damage from the feed mechanism at all. I put a few rounds into the gun and I loaded them, unloaded them several times and then inspected them just to see if there were any scores or marks on the case or the bullet itself. There weren't. I was very happy with that. Now, some of the downsides of this rifle. I am always a bit cautious with carbon barrels because they do have some great features. They're very lightweight, they do maintain that first round stiffness, but they're not as good at shedding heat and conducting it through and getting rid of that heat. Now, in terms of a hunting rifle, that's not usually too much of a problem because the first or perhaps second shot is really what matters, and you may have hours and hours and hours and hours between shots for plenty of time for the barrel to cool. Now, I was shooting this rifle in 16 degrees air temperature and it was quite breezy, but it did get hot very quickly, and I restricted the groups to 3 rounders because I never managed to get a 5-round group to stay below the MOA standard. But with 3 rounds fired and maintaining that kind of tempo, I was getting sub-MOA groups, and the velocities are quite good given the fact that this is a shorter 20-inch barrel, whereas most ammunition supplies are actually listed with a 24-inch developed velocity. I was getting just over 3,000 feet per second with a 55 grain Hornady VMAX bullet, which is a hugely popular choice with me and a lot of shooters in 223. And in terms of a light carry foxing rifle, this is a delight to use, but it'll be those first 2, maybe 3, if you really need another backup shot, they're going to count. And I don't think it's perhaps quite a rifle you're going to want to take to the range and shoot all day long, because you'll spend a lot more time watching and waiting for it to cool. Because as I said, it was breezy when I was shooting it, but it took half an hour to cool down satisfactorily from a 3-round group before I wanted to shoot another 3-round group in terms of the provenance of the actual rifle's capability. In terms of support on the stock, you've got a nice underside here, slightly matte. There is a little bit of a bag rider, although you can't kind of hook the butt there and push it into your shoulder. So you do need to make sure you're holding the gun securely and you can't kind of anchor it back, unless you've got a monopod or you put like a sling stud on there and you can actually then hold it into your shoulder if you're just shooting precision shots from a prone or well supported position. If I did shoot from the tripod sticks, it would clamp in without any point of impact shift at all. And as I say, that forend is totally stiff. It's got a flat underside and it's hand filling enough with a slight groove here just to make sure your fingers know where they are and you've got a secure hold on it. Fit and finish of the rifle is excellent. The carbon fibre does look superb, and I think the stock is enough carbon fibre for my liking, and I would go with that steel barrel. If you do take the barrel action out of the stock, it's a screw at the front and a screw at the rear of the bottom metal. Pop those out, the action comes out, and it's a cylindrical fit. It's exactly the same as a Remington 700 in that respect, which means you can use the same trigger systems, you can use any kind of stock that's available for a Remington 700, no problem at all. The last thing to mention is the inlet is neatly cut and there doesn't appear to be any bedding stress applied when you fasten the rifle back in, but it doesn't have pillars and it isn't glass bedded. And personally, I think if this rifle were mine, I would pay that bit extra and go for my local gunsmith to give me a full bedding job on it, because a full bedding job on a rifle really does finish the deal off. If you do want to save money, and I think I perhaps personally would, I'd drop down to the steel barrel version, which is going to give you all those same handling features, slightly more barrel weight, but it's not going to be a huge issue on a 20-inch tube, and you're going to save quite a lot of money over that, with it being £1,625 as opposed to £1,875. Now with the carbon barrel here, you can see the point of balance is about under the front scope ring, just to the front of the bottom metal. The bottom metal is aluminium. You've got a big ambidextrous lever to get the magazines in and out, and those fit without snagging, any problem at all. You can press the lever and it will drop into your hand, and there's no issue putting it back in with a nice solid clunk to know it's assured and it's going to fit correctly. As long as you pull the bolt handle all the way back, there were no problems feeding. It didn't miss a single shot on camera. And sometimes rifles can always really do that to wind you up, but this one didn't. So I will say, I really do like this rifle a lot for a hunting rifle, but it is not a range rifle. And if you think you want to use it for more than just those few shots for hunting, go for the steel barrel version. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching that review of the Crest Carbon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and click the notification bell to keep track of the regular uploads. Thanks for watching, bye for now.